Napoleon's billion-dollar secret: every millionaire knows 99 will never learn this. Why your ambition is your biggest enemy. The 1% trap. One man conquered all of Europe by age 35. Kings bowed at his feet. Armies trembled at the sound of his name. He had everything, but he made one mistake that cost him his empire and his life. And you're making that exact same mistake right now. You know that feeling, don't you? That insatiable hunger for more. More money, more recognition, more power. Modern society has programmed you to never be satisfied. Always forward, they say. Never give up, scream the motivational gurus. But I'm about to share a secret that power masters have known for centuries. Uncontrolled ambition is the deadliest trap that exists. Napoleon Bonaparte. The name still echoes through history's corridors. By age 35, he had conquered virtually all of Europe. France, Austria, Prussia, Spain all bowed under his command. His army was an unstoppable war machine. His military strategy, genius. His power, absolute. Any sensible person would have stopped there. Any sensible person, except Napoleon. Law 47 of the 48 Laws of Power is brutal in its simplicity. Do not go past the mark. It's the law that separates geniuses from amateurs, masters from slaves to their own ambitions. Because here's the thing: while you're obsessively chasing the next level, the real power players are consolidating what they've already conquered. The market doesn't follow your romantic rules. Life doesn't care about your perfectly drawn plans. Chaos governs everything, and those who try to be too rational in an irrational world always lose. But here's the mind-blowing paradox. Real power isn't about having more. Real power is knowing exactly when to stop. Think of it as a cosmic poker game. The amateur always wants to bet one more chip, always wants to see one more card. He believes the next play will be the definitive one. But the master? The master knows when his cards are good enough. He knows when to collect the profits and leave the table. Because in life's game, it doesn't matter how much you win if you don't know when to stop. You'll always end up broke. Napoleon looked at his empire and didn't see enough. Russia called to him. The Russian winter? Insignificant detail. Hostile terrain? Just another obstacle for his military genius. His arrogance completely blinded him. He couldn't see that he had crossed the invisible line between strategic ambition and destructive obsession. The Russian campaign of 1812 wasn't just a military defeat. It was history's most epic demonstration of how uncontrolled ambition devours its own masters. Of 600,000 men who entered Russia, only 30,000 returned. The man who had conquered Europe was destroyed by his own insatiable appetite for more territories. But you don't need to march to Moscow to make the same mistake. You do it every time you pursue a goal beyond the point of positive return. Every time you turn success into obsession. Every time you confuse healthy ambition with destructive hunger. The true genius understands that victory is a moment, not an eternal destination. It's a photograph, not a movie. And those who try to turn that moment into an epic saga always end up watching their own empire crumble. Here's what separates the winners from the losers in this game. Self-control. Not the self-control to work harder, but the self-control to stop when you've won. To resist the siren call of just one more. To choose wisdom over ego, strategy over emotion. The most successful people in America, from Warren Buffett to Jeff Bezos, all understand this principle. They know when to double down and when to cash out. They know when to push forward and when to consolidate. They've learned to master their ambition instead of being mastered by it. Your ambition isn't your enemy. It's your greatest asset when controlled. But uncontrolled ambition is like a fire without boundaries. It will consume everything you've built and leave you with nothing but ashes and regrets. Stop everything you're doing right now. Choose one goal you have at this moment. When you achieve it in the next 3 days, force yourself to stop. Don't go beyond. Feel what it means to have total control over your ambition. Smash that like button if you have the courage to do this experiment, because 95% of people don't. The mistake that destroys genius is how emotions kill success. There's an exact moment in every battle where you go from predator to prey. A split second where your strength becomes your weakness. Amateurs never notice it. Geniuses feel it in their souls. You're about to discover which one you are. Have you ever watched a predator in nature? A lion doesn't chase a gazelle to exhaustion out of pride. It attacks, kills, eats, and rests. End of story. There's no emotional drama, no wounded ego, no need to prove a point. Just brutal efficiency and strategic rest. But humans? We're the only creatures stupid enough to turn victory into revenge, success into obsession, strategy into emotion. And that's exactly the difference between those who control the game and those who are controlled by it. Emotional ambition is the amateur's signature. He enters battle with his heart pounding, anger boiling, ego screaming. Every move he makes is predictable because it comes from an emotional place. He wants to avenge humiliation. He needs to prove his worth. He can't just win, he needs to crush, dominate, show superiority. Napoleon had this disease. After conquering Europe, he couldn't just govern. He needed to prove he was invincible. Russia was no longer a strategic conquest, it was personal. And personal matters kill strategic geniuses. Law 47 is also the law of cold rationality. It demands that you kill your emotions before they kill your plans. In real-life chess, you can't afford to protect your queen out of sentimentalism. If sacrificing your most valuable piece guarantees checkmate, you sacrifice it without blinking. But here's where things get really sinister. While you're blinded by ambition, other players are studying your patterns. They know your hunger for more makes you predictable. They can calculate exactly when you'll cross the line from strategy to obsession. And at that exact moment, they destroy you. The world is infested with people who feed off your need for validation. They provoke your ego on purpose. They make you feel like you need to prove something. They push you beyond your safety limit. And while you're busy being brave and determined, they're positioning the pieces for your checkmate. Think about how many times you've screwed yourself by not being able to stop. How many relationships you've destroyed by needing the last word. How many deals you've ruined by not accepting a profit that was too small. How many opportunities you've lost while chasing the perfect opportunity that never comes. Cold rationality isn't the absence of emotion. It's absolute control over it. It's feeling anger and choosing calm. It's feeling fear and choosing action. It's feeling ambition and choosing precision. This coldness transforms you into a ghost on the battlefield. Nobody can read your next moves because they're not dictated by predictable impulses. Fear of the unknown is the most powerful psychological weapon that exists. When your opponents can't predict your reactions, they become anxious. Anxiety makes them make mistakes. And mistakes are golden opportunities for those who keep a cold mind. Napoleon lost this control in Russia. He reacted emotionally to hostile terrain. He got frustrated with the Russians' scorched earth tactics. He made decisions based on wounded pride instead of military logic. And he paid the highest price possible. The American business world is littered with the corpses of executives who couldn't control their ambition. Enron's Jeff Skilling, Theranos Elizabeth Holmes, Work's Adam Newman, all brilliant minds destroyed by their inability to know when enough was enough. Meanwhile, the true power players like Warren Buffett, who walks away from deals that don't meet his criteria, or Tim Cook, who focuses Apple on a few products instead of trying to dominate every market, they understand that limitation is liberation. Your enemies are counting on your predictable patterns. They know you'll always choose the aggressive option. They know you'll always go for more when you should consolidate. They're betting their strategies on your inability to control your own ambition. Now, you're going to do something 99% of people don't have the stomach for. Take your next major goal and visualize your failure. Detail everything that could go wrong. List every enemy who could defeat you. Write it on paper. If you can do this without your ego exploding, you're already on the path to real control. Comment rationality if you have this courage. Billionaire's secret weapon. They don't want you to know the most powerful move in chess isn't attacking. It's retreating at the exact moment everyone expects you to advance. While amateurs die fighting lost battles, geniuses live to fight wars they can win. This is the difference between dead heroes and living legends. Society taught you that quitting is cowardice, that retreating is weakness, that admitting defeat is failure. But let me tell you something power masters have known for millennia. Strategic retreat is the most sophisticated weapon in the power arsenal. And those who don't master this art are doomed to be crushed by their own victories. Napoleon had multiple opportunities to retreat strategically. After conquering half of Europe, he could have consolidated his territories, strengthened his defenses, organized his administration. But no, he chose the heroic narrative of the unstoppable conqueror. And heroic narratives have tragic endings. Retreat isn't about cowardice. It's about cold mathematics. When costs exceed benefits, when risks surpass rewards, when the energy required is greater than the possible return, only an idiot keeps fighting. The genius cuts his losses and redesigns his strategy. Think about the great generals of history. Sun Tzu taught that he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. Alexander the Great retreated from the Indian subcontinent when he realized his men were too exhausted to guarantee victory. He understood that preserving his army was more important than his reputation as invincible. But Napoleon? He was too high on his own propaganda. When his generals suggested retreating from Russia before winter, he ignored them. When the cold began decimating his troops, he insisted on moving forward. When it became clear the campaign was a disaster, he still tried to save the situation with more aggression. The result? The Grand Army was annihilated, not by Russian military superiority, but by Napoleon's inability to admit he had exceeded his strategic limit. His psychological need to never retreat cost him the empire. Now apply this to your life. How many projects have you insisted on keeping alive even knowing they were lost causes? How many relationships have you refused to abandon even seeing they were toxic? How many business strategies have you maintained even when the numbers screamed, stop? The amateur sees giving up as personal defeat. The genius sees it as valuable information. Each strategic retreat teaches you something about your limits, about the market, about your opponents. It's pure intelligence you can use in the next battle. Strategic retreat is also a devastating psychological weapon. When you pull back at the moment everyone expects you to advance, you break your opponent's mental patterns. They become confused, anxious, start questioning their own strategies. While they're trying to decipher your moves, you're repositioning for a devastating attack. Steve Jobs was fired from the very company he created. Instead of fighting an internal political war he couldn't win, he left, created other companies, developed new technologies, and when he returned to Apple years later, he returned as a conqueror, not as a supplicant. That's the difference between ego and strategy. Ego forces you to die in symbolic battles. Strategy allows you to choose only the wars you can win devastatingly. American business history is full of strategic retreats that became massive victories. Netflix abandoned DVD by mail when streaming became viable. Amazon walked away from the Fire Phone to focus on Alexa. Disney shut down traditional animation to embrace digital. All strategic retreats that led to unprecedented success. The key is knowing the difference between strategic retreat and cowardly surrender. Strategic retreat is calculated, timed, purposeful. It's about preserving resources for a better opportunity. Cowardly surrender is emotional, reactive, permanent. Napoleon never learned this lesson. Even in exile on Elba, he couldn't accept that his time had passed. He returned for the 100 days and was definitively crushed at Waterloo. A second chance at strategic retreat wasted by ego. The most successful people in any field understand this principle. They know when to fold a hand in poker, when to pivot a business strategy, when to end a relationship, when to abandon a project. They've learned that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Truth time. Look at your life right now and identify one battle you're fighting but can't win. A dead project, a toxic relationship, a failed strategy. You have 24 hours to make the hardest decision of your life. Retreat strategically. Share this video if you understand that retreating is power, not weakness. How to become unstoppable, the master's ritual. There's a moment in every person's life where they stop being a player and become the creator of the game, where they stop reacting to circumstances and start orchestrating them. If you've made it this far, that moment is now. And what happens from here will determine whether you'll be remembered as just another amateur or as a legend. You're not the same person who started watching this video. Something fundamental has shifted in your mind. You've embraced coldness as virtue, accepted rationality as a weapon, mastered strategic retreat as a power tool. Now only one thing remains. Unite all these weapons into an unstoppable force. Most people live on autopilot. They follow predictable scripts, react the same way to the same stimuli, make the same mistakes in infinite cycles. But you're different now. You've become an anomaly in the system, a variable that can't be calculated by other players. Think about a martial arts master. He doesn't fight with anger or desperation. Every movement is precise, calculated, efficient. He observes, waits, finds the perfect opening, and strikes without emotion. There's no drama, no theater, just relentless execution of a superior strategy. This is your new operational reality. Your success no longer depends on luck, market mood, or others' kindness. It depends exclusively on your discipline in applying the principles you just learned. And discipline is absolute power over yourself. Emotional coldness makes you invisible on common manipulators' radar. They can't provoke you, distract you, or make you react impulsively. While they waste energy trying to destabilize you, you're 3 moves ahead, positioning your pieces for the final checkmate. Napoleon lost because he became predictable. His thought patterns were deciphered by enemies. They knew he would always choose the most aggressive option, always go beyond the safe limit, always prioritize glory over strategy. And they used this knowledge to destroy him. You won't make the same mistake. Your unpredictability will be your armor. Your patience will be your sword. Your ability to retreat will be your shield. And your wisdom to know when to stop will be your crown. But here's the final secret that separates true masters from pretenders: brutal consistency. Anyone can apply these principles once in a crisis situation, but only geniuses apply them every day, in every situation, until they become second nature. That's why you need to create your genius ritual. 5 minutes every morning to calibrate your mind. First, remember that your ambition is a superpower, not a defect, as long as it's controlled by your rationality. Second, reaffirm your power of influence through emotional coldness. Third, define with surgical precision what really matters today. This daily mental preparation is your invisible armor. It's what protects you from manipulation attempts. It's what keeps you focused when chaos tries to distract you. It's what guarantees you'll never again be a victim of your own uncontrolled emotions. American success stories are built on this principle. Elon Musk doesn't chase every shiny opportunity, he focuses ruthlessly on his core missions. Jeff Bezos didn't expand Amazon into every possible market at once, he conquered one sector at a time. Warren Buffett doesn't invest in companies he doesn't understand, no matter how hot they are. The game has changed. The rules have been rewritten, and you now have the tools to not just play, but create your own rules. The world can collapse outside. Politicians can lie. Markets can crash. People can betray you, but inside your mind, you'll have absolute control. This is what separates winners from losers in the real world. Winners understand that power isn't about conquering everything, it's about controlling what you conquer. It's not about having the most pieces on the board, it's about positioning the right pieces in the right places at the right time. Napoleon died on an isolated island, betrayed by his own uncontrolled ambition. But his story taught us the most valuable lesson about power. It's not about how much you conquer, it's about how much you keep. And you only keep what you can control. The choice is yours. You can go back to being another predictable player in someone else's game, or you can become the chess master who sees the entire board while others struggle with individual pieces. The game is over. Your new game is beginning. If this journey transformed you, smash that like button now. Comment genius to confirm you see yourself as the master you were born to be. Subscribe and hit the bell because what's coming next will blow your mind. And share with someone still struggling for control, because real warriors don't fight alone. Your mind's revolution starts now.